Hey guys, welcome back. I know I've been out a couple weeks. Life has been absolute chaos the start of this year in 2026, and got some decent weather, record-setting warm weather here in February and March. So taking advantage of it and trying to get some outdoor stuff done. So if you haven't seen my last video yet, the narration about the generations of Cummins trucks, go ahead and check that out. That video has no views. I don't know if I pissed off the gods of YouTube. I must have just broken the system with like the wrong kind of word typed in there somewhere, because should have thousands of views on that thing. It's not had, hasn't had any views yet. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So I bent the tie rod on the Kubota RTV-1100. So we're gonna replace that. And I actually got to make a part to help this process out. So this is your tie rod. You can see where it bent. It was bent like probably 45 degrees. I was actually able to take my induction heater and heat this part up and bend it back straight enough that I've been using the machine here the last couple of weeks. It's good enough, but we know it's gonna bend again. So we're going to take this off. So to take it off, first you take your wheel off. That's going to be a 13/16 socket to get your nuts off. Then you're going to have to take this cotter pin out. You'll take this nut off. And then these castle nuts, I always flip them over, thread it back on the other way, and beat on this right here with a hammer, which will eventually let this ball joint pop out. But then we get to the hard part. So back here, you've got that's your steering cylinder. It's a hydraulic cylinder. It's dual-sided. So that comes over here. I'll use my pinky here. You can see the wrench flats right there on the tie rod end. And that wrench flat's only about 3/16 of an inch wide. And then over here on your, using my ring finger, right there, the cylinder rod end, there's a wrench flat that's only about 3/16 to 1/4 inch wide. Well, guess what? Wrenches are way thicker than that in these sizes. So most people will go buy brand new wrenches and grind them down to fit. But that's kind of expensive. Now there's also a tool that's basically a clamp with a U-bolt on one side and like a forged clamp on the other, and you bolt it on over the cylinder rod end, and I don't know if it damages the chrome on that shaft or not, but that rod end doesn't go all the way into the cylinder. So even if you did mar up the very end of it, it shouldn't matter. But that fitting's about 30 bucks on eBay. Well, I thought I can laser cut some 3/16 inch steel and just make the wrenches. So that's what I did here. And like all things in life, we have trial and error, and come to find out, this end is too weak. This end works just fine. So I'm probably going to modify this a little bit, shorten it down so it's a little bit easier to work with and fit in there. But I went out and got the cheapest 7/8 wrench I could get. I narrowed it down to about 0.24 inches thick, so just under 1/4 inch. I was not going to go buy an 1.25 wrench and destroy that. So we can come in here, and I got this fitting tight enough. I actually have to kind of hammer this on in there. There you can see the wrench just slips in there, and there you can see, briefly you could see that both wrenches fit side by side. Now by rights, this wrench should work if you don't have thread locker on there and that thing hasn't been tightened by the hand of Zeus. But if someone went and put like red Loctite on there, which would be really stupid because you have to use like 400 degrees to break red Loctite loose, which is going to likely start a fire inside here. If somebody did that, you're going to have to go to more extreme measures, and this wrench end is going to deform like it did on me. So I haven't gotten this all the way off yet. I just broke it loose, and then I went and grabbed the camera. So we're going to get it the rest of the way off, and we're going to find out if somebody's already replaced this. And since this machine has 24,000 miles on it, I'm sure somebody probably did. But before I go any further, I'm going to get this popped out. I'm going to break my jam nut here loose. I'm going to thread it's going to make taking the whole thing off a lot easier. But while I was just trying to break things loose, I wanted to leave all this in position so that I don't have this thing flopping around. But now that this is loose by rights, once it starts free spinning, I should be able to just unthread it by hand from out here. Okay, so to get your ball joint out, you're going to take the cotter pin out, you're going to take your castle nut off, you're going to flip it over, or if you have a different one, I think the thread is M10 by 1.25, that way you don't destroy your castle nut. You're going to take a big hammer, and you're just going to pound right here, and eventually this will actually just pop up like that. And then this is 17mm socket that you'll need. If you do deform the threads, the nice thing is that when you take it back off, it kind of puts the threads back into shape. So now we can pop this guy out, and then we get to find out if this is going to want to thread off, and it's not. So I'm going to have to get the wrenches back up on there, finish popping this thing loose. Okay, so we did get things broke loose enough so we can just put vice grips on the hydraulic rod end. So then I take my big custom wrench, put it on here, I spin it loose as much as I can, and I drop this, I flip it around so I can get another bite on there, spin around some more, drop that, take my vice grips, and then rotate things so I can get another bite. So we're going to have to do that a couple times because there is something kind of on the threads. It feels like thread locker, which is making this more difficult to take apart than it really needs to be. All right, guys, it is 2027, and I finally got this thing out. Took forever. Some idiot used red Loctite. Not sure if that was factory or the person that replaced this. Let's talk about some science here for a second. Red Loctite solidifies when there's no air. To re-liquefy it, you have to heat it up to about 400 degrees, and you pretty much need a flame to do that. So what do we have in the area of our flame? Well, you have this end, which has a rubber boot. That rubber is obviously flammable, and the grease under there is highly flammable. And then you have your cylinder end, your rod end. That is a shaft that goes into the cylinder. And you know what seals a cylinder? A little rubber seal. And that rubber seal will absolutely fail at 220 degrees Fahrenheit. So anything 220 degrees or higher, that cylinder seal is going to fail. How do I know this? Because I spent 4 years as a design engineer for hydraulic cylinders. We had to do special things for powder coating because the powder coating oven has to cure higher than the seals are rated for. So, putting red Loctite on this, really stupid. If anything, you could use blue Loctite. Definitely don't use red. You don't have to use heat to break up blue Loctite. You have to use heat to break up red Loctite if you want to liquefy it. Now obviously some brute strength can take this apart, but that's why this was so hard to take apart. So it's not to say that this wrench wouldn't work on both ends, on the smaller end too, but since this was red Loctited in and I wasn't going to put a flame next to this, that made this smaller end too weak. The big end worked fantastic though. So I'll just put a disclaimer in the product that if your thing was red Loctated in, you might have to go get a forged wrench and grind the 7/8 forged wrench down, but the bigger end, you're still good there. Let's also look underneath here. I have all sorts of weed debris under there. I have a radiator hose here with a cloth on it. I got a brake line. Really, really, really don't want to put an open flame anywhere in this vicinity. So again, really stupid to put red Loctite on there. But now you can see, especially if I put it next to this straight line, you can see how bent she got. I wasn't able to straighten her all the way out. I did find some tubing that I could slide, some steel tubing I could slide over this to basically brace it and reinforce it. But then you got to ask yourself, if this doesn't bend, what's the next thing that's going to break? So I'll just leave this as our fusible link, and hopefully I don't bend another one before I sell this thing. Now when we go to thread our new one in, I'm going to put a dab of blue Loctite on this end. thread that in, and I'm not going to go crazy on it on the torque spec because I want to be able to get this thing out if I have to take it out again. Installation is just the reverse of the removal. All right, so two more quick things I want to mention here. You do put the tie rod end onto the tie rod, so you're going to lose your alignment. All you have to do is keep this nut in position on your old one when you take it off, assuming that you never adjusted this after you bent it if you tried straightening it. And then just adjust your new nut back till it matches this guy. That's going to get you probably close enough that you won't really have to mess with alignment. And another thing about this guy over here, threading in with red Loctite, this isn't going to rotate. You have your tie rod end that goes down. This jam nut locks this in. So this is not going to rotate. It might move back and forth this much, whatever your ball joint allows, but it can't actually sit there and rotate. The hydraulic cylinder shaft is the only thing that can rotate and potentially unthread from this. There's no reason your hydraulic shaft should be rotating, should have any force on it that's making it want to unthread off of this. So really, thread locker should not even be required, period, on these threads. It's totally asinine to put red thread locker on here. As long as you tighten this and you get your get a good hold with your wrenches, get it nice and tight by hand, there's no reason that this should ever unthread. So again, just a little dab of blue thread locker is all that I would recommend at the most. You could even actually put anti-seize on this if you wanted to. So thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you a little more frequently here. And got lots of videos planned. I just need more time in the day so I can film and edit all this stuff for you guys. So you stay classy, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.